fandoms are kind of important. I know this to some may seem kind of obvious because without fans, people can't be successful, they won't get paychecks, there's no promise of longevity in whatever work that they're creating without a fan base to, of course, consume it. But growing up, especially as a potential aspiring author, I didn't think much of fans at all. To me, they always kind of fell into two distinctive categories, whether it be really crazy or just casual. But fans aren't just crazy, nor are they just casual, they're essential. Let me explain. My favorite, or at least one of my favorite anime, is definitely this little gem of a show, known as Binan Koukou Chikyuu Boueibu Love, or as I like to call it, Binan, which is the magical boy show and has played a huge role in how I view fandoms today. Now, fandoms are kind of wild, and I had been a part of fandoms before this show, just I always jumped in either at the peak of its show or very, very late, like Attack on Titan or Dramatical Murder are both fandoms that I played an active role in, but I was kind of just another drop in the bucket to most. I didn't really contribute too much, and like I said, I was just another fan, really. But for Binan, it was different, because I had watched the first episode, not really sure why I did. I think it was just that the show was so silly, and I mean, it was kind of hard not to. I mean, it was a magical boy show. Up to this point, I'm not even sure one existed, so the thought of being able to experience this kind of meme-like show with everybody was kind of exciting. And I was getting into Tumblr for, real for, the first time, and I was starting making my own videos to kind of, granted, they were joke videos, and they're joke videos that I still do to this day. I write fanfiction occasionally, but I didn't really have enough fandoms to write fanfiction for, and I was just kind of browsing around. But watching a show, and then immediately after you're watching it and going on Tumblr and seeing everybody else's reaction is one of the most exhilarating and addictive things I think I've ever experienced, which I was not expecting. I did not go in watching this show with that intention. Nor did I expect to really fall in love with the show or have other people fall in love with it kind of in the same way I had. You know, fandoms are kind of strange because it's like you're interacting with so many different people of so many different backgrounds who managed to still love the same thing you did, you know, or are loving, as I'm saying. And it's just really just wonderful. Fandoms contribute so much. And like I said before, up to this point I hadn't thought much of them at all. But I watched the first episode of Binan, and with each episode for 12 weeks, we just got together and we made theories and headcanons and predictions, and I made headcanons for the first time in my life. I had never really cared about doing that, but two of my headcanons that I can remember actually got confirmed later in the show, which was really, I was so proud of myself. Maybe a bit too proud, but it was definitely a highlight, and I take pride in that. And Binan just became a show that we didn't expect anything from, and then simultaneously about the time episode 4 pulled around, everyone just kind of took a step back and they were like, did this show just get emotional? Does this show have an underlying plot and characters that we actually care about with motivations and an actual villain? It didn't seem real for a joke show to still have some depth to it. And, you know, I hadn't really watched many comedy animes before except Daily Lives of High School Boys, which funny enough has, I think, the same creator with Binan, so that might have played a part in my enjoyment of it. But I didn't even know until after the fact. And then when the 12 weeks was over, it was the saddest day. It was we all thought it was the end of Binan. We were never gonna see a second season. There was no way this joke show with such a little tiny compact fandom was ever gonna get any more of Magical Boys, and it was kind of sad, you know? I mean, it was a great last episode and it tied everything together. I think we would have all been okay if that would have been the end of it, but it was our heart still longed for more Magical Boys, and I've longed to still talk to some of my friends that I had made and make more headcanons, and it felt a bit empty for a while. And then everything kind of changed when our fandom, apparently, it had gotten enough exposure to the point where they made a second season. And like I said, nobody was expecting it. And when it happened, it was like everyone awoke at once. It was like we had all been dead for, I think, a year. I think it was a year is how long it took, maybe less. And we were just popped out of our graves, basically, and we're ready to consume it. Binan Season 2 was really good as well. Some people still have debates on which one was better. Personally, I don't think it's a matter of better. I think it's just a matter of we got more Magical Boys, and I was completely happy with that. Could live on forever because of that. And the fandom awoke again, and it kind of still replenished the same feeling I had the first time, getting addicted for 12 weeks and just, making fan art, making fan fictions, and being involved in something. And, like, I wrote one of the first fan fictions for Binan. Granted, it's long deleted now because I'm an idiot, but, and being one of the first fan fictions for that is crazy. Archive of Our Own didn't have many, and that it was like a select few really contributed to adding fan fiction and fan art, and, having some sort of an impact. Like, I was one of the only people making joke videos, and my blog blew up because of it, and I had never had more than 100 followers on my blog before, and it was just exhilarating to have people recognize my work and also love the show. And I just always had fun because a new episode meant new jokes and new fanfiction, new headcanons, and new predictions, and it made being part of the fandom one of the best experiences I've ever had. And I still have these experiences now. Not technically with Binan, though. That's gonna change when Happy Kiss comes out, which I'm just freaking out about. Again, was not expecting anything more to come out of this fandom, and it's actually going to be a derivative of the original story, but it's still going to be set in the same universe with different characters, and that's really, really exciting. So you'll probably hear more from me when that starts to come around, and I'm awake from my grave again a couple years later, 3 years later, and I'm still gunning for my Magical Boys, man. This show's great. If you haven't seen Binan, I really suggest you do. It has one of the most wholesome and healthy fandoms and fan bases out there. A lot of fan bases can be toxic and full of ship wars and things like that. And I mean, I guess we had ship wars for a minute, but none of them were, I think a lot of them were just kind of like tongue-in-cheek. I don't think we were actually upset with. We were pretty open with, OT3s and OTPs, and, everything kind of highly suggested that some of these boys were into each other. So I think at the end of the day, Binan's all about love, and I think the fandom definitely represents what the show represents. We love each other, and we're very, very, very supportive of one another in a way that I didn't think a fandom ever could be. And I think that's just what makes this fandom so great. And the only thing that I can hope is that anything that I do will gain a fan base as dedicated and as sweet and wholesome and addictive and exhilarating as that fan base had for me. And if any of you shared the same experience with me watching Binan, and you're watching and you're just like, yes, and agreeing with everything I'm saying, then you know what it was like. It was an experience unlike any other. Anyway. So that was just a quick video I wanted to make. I thank you guys for watching. I'm Xana's Joy, and to be continued.